Hello, I'm David Towler, President of Creative Organizational Design in Ontario, Canada, and we are a provider of skills and aptitude tests for all manner of different applications. One of the many things we offer are the PsychTest assessments from Arch Profiles, and we've been very pleased with those, and certainly our clients have been very pleased with those. We've got a lot of experience in this area and have dealt with many assessments and providers over the decades. And I can honestly say that psych tests, I think, stand apart in a variety of different ways, most specifically the quality, the ease of use, and the depth and breadth of the reports that are provided, and the fact that most of them are very, very short, quick assessments to take.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Thank you for joining us, first of all, to provide the testimonial. So tell me, how did you find us in the first place?
I don't actually recall off the top of my head. I think it was partly due to me doing what I normally do, keeping an eye on the marketplace. And when something new comes across my desk, you inquire and look at those tools to find out if they're going to be a good addition to the catalog we have, and then negotiate the relationship with the vendor accordingly.
Excellent. So tell me, how are the tests received by your clients? How do people find them?
Our process is to put everything we have on the website, and it is a glorified brochure, and it forces people to reach out directly so that we can have an opportunity to do a needs analysis, ensure that we understand the requirements and that the right tools are being recommended for the job at hand. And therefore, a variety of different tools from different directions might come to the table, and is up to the client at that point to determine which ones are most applicable for them on, again, a variety of issues, price not being the least of them. But we have a hand in that, in not pushing, but recommending certain tools for certain applications, or bringing things to the fore that they may have overlooked or not seen already on the website, and may have not had the opportunity to select or discard as they see fit.
Mm-hmm. Well, the needs analysis is really absolutely essential, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I find a lot of companies develop an idea of what they need, but when we get to talk to them, it's not necessarily exactly what is going to serve them the best, right? Is that your experience as well?
Oh, absolutely. Even people who are using tests or have used tests for a number of years are, I find, moderately, and I use the word gently, ignorant of what's actually available, or they've used test X for X number of years and haven't looked beyond it to see what has come to the marketplace since they started using that particular tool. And so they're, through no fault of their own, I mean, we're the ones in the industry who are the experts who ought to know this stuff, not the clients who are looking for the solutions. And so they're often very poorly educated on what options are available and what differences, and they certainly don't understand the nuances between various assessments, and those are, as you well know, legion. And just picking one is not the right way to go. And so we make a concerted effort to ensure that if people need a screwdriver, we don't let them accidentally buy a wrench in error.
Absolutely, that's commendable, first of all. That you are helping them pick the right tools for their exact needs, right? So tell me, David, how are our tests landing with the clients?
How are they what? Sorry?
How they are landing with your clients?
I'm thinking of several titles: the employee attitude and personality test, the leadership potential assessment, the MANSA. I'm trying to think of other ones we've done recently. At any rate, those titles are hot sellers for when those applications come up, and those are the tools that get recommended. I've found that it's a repeat business shoe-in most of the time. If people like what they've used, then they come back for more of the same. and or more of something else for a different application that PsychTests may or may not be providing a solution for. But the point is that we're finding people are very pleased with what they're receiving. They find that the results are unambiguous and clear and easy to read and understand. They don't need a user manual at their elbow or need even to call me to get additional insights and interpretation assistance. It's all self-contained and it's user-friendly. So I think that in the long run, people are extremely satisfied. And certainly the people who bought them and then come back for more of the same, that's the proof in the pudding, obviously.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you say to someone who is considering our assessments for their business?
Well, what I say to them
Mhm.
in terms of,
Um, would you recommend our tests to people? Um,
yes, constantly. And it depends on the ask. There's certainly times when people are looking for something that there is not an applicable or appropriate solution available within your catalog. And so depending on the ask, that drives the recommendation response. So it really depends. I mean, if people are looking for basic math or Microsoft Word, that's not what you do. And so you don't come up in discussion. But we're always asking people, both new and existing clients, look, we're standing here talking about this, and you need radishes because you're making a salad. That's fine. But there are 28 aisles of ingredients behind us for other things. And so the question from me to them is always, what else are you cooking? Because we've got the ingredients for that too. And that often does open the door for further discussion in different directions, which enables me to then say, oh, you need that? Have a look at this. And the this may very well include psych tests.
okay. Yes, absolutely, because we have a wide variety of
Do
assessments
you
on
ever?
transferable skills,
Yes,
um, right? And also job fit assessments. So, like if you are hiring security guards, DISC may not be the best assessment for that. It's much
rarely.
better to go for something that is built on the competency model for security guards, right?
Right. And we're
Okay.
getting more questions or more queries from people about either benchmarking or customizing the tool to their needs and whatnot. That seems to be occurring with a little more frequency than I've seen in the past few years. And your assessments lend themselves to that in most situations. And you've certainly got a good range of 360s as well that are role and application specific as well as generic. And those are good tools to have in your toolkit as well, so that when the need comes up, you can say, hey, look, there's this that you could be using for that. And here's why you might want it as opposed to one of the others that we offer.
Absolutely. So, David, imagine that I'm a fairy godmother and I give you three wishes um, in terms of your clients, what companies could be doing to optimize their operations and their leadership. What would your wishes be?
For clarity from the client as to what the heck they really need and want and know what their direction and end goal ought to be, to have the ability to speak with the decision makers as opposed to the sometimes the folks who contact us are further down the food chain and they don't have the answers or don't know what the answers to our questions ought to be and have to go back and ask somebody else and then keep you arm's length from those people who are holding the purse strings or making the ultimate decision. Those would be primary amongst my preferences if I could change the world the way I want it to run. As for the rest, I think it's a case of, you know, there's so many tests out there. And, 40 years ago, there was a handful. Everything was in paper. You almost always had to be a psychologist to be able to get your hands on them. And there was no internet, no way to find the darn things in the first place. And it was very difficult. Now we've gone to the opposite end of the scale where people are overwhelmed when they put in a search for assessments They don't know where to begin. They don't know how to compare one provider's tools against another. They don't always find the tool that they're looking for because they didn't click into the sixth Google page to find that particular link. And so we've set ourselves up as kind of a one-stop shop, whereby doesn't matter what you need. We've got 5,000 plus titles available, and there's almost always a solution available to recommend. Whether it's what the client wants or needs is a different conversation, but we can save people a great deal of time and energy having to run around the web, make inquiries, wait to be contacted, and then have the same conversation repeatedly with 6 or 7 providers. And then they're the ones who have to figure out, based on what they've been sent, which tool is the right one for them. With us, it's a single conversation, and we can answer almost any need immediately. And you, amongst several other providers that we deal with, are chief amongst the ones that we find ourselves recommending over and over and over to people.
Yes, and what is beautiful about your solution is that all the assessments that you offer are curated, right? So you make
Yes,
sure that the psychometric properties, that they are scientifically based and they are valid and reliable. So that
absolutely. Because our
that
reputation is tied to it as well. And so you don't want to put a tool in someone's hands that ends up screwing up somebody's life, whether it be the candidate or the employer itself. You want to make sure that they're getting exactly what they need and want, and that it will do what they need and want, and that it's reliable, and they're not going to leave themselves hanging in the wind whereby they end up in a legal challenge or something like that. So that's very much one of the things that we look for immediately when dealing with an assessment, is to ensure that we can recommend it and offer it without any fear that this is going to blow back on us in a negative way.
absolutely. Well, David, thank you very much for providing the testimonial, and we value your company very much as one of our top clients.
Well,
So
thank you. And ditto. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without folks like you allowing us to play in your sandbox, and without the sort of support and the quality of the assessments that are provided. There are lots of things out there that are okay or reasonable, but when you know what else is available and have the ability to pick and choose and compare, there's a distinct and defined difference amongst the assessments that are available. And I think that PsychTests has set themselves apart in a number of ways that make yours exceptionally good choices.
thank you, and we also make sure that we provide top-notch customer service in
And you
addition.
do.
And we do, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.